materials, were carted out of it. Were they the materials that you distributed to state governments, or the materials belong to other agencies that has actually contributed to the state government? Why I ask this question is whether you get a feedback on what you have given to the state governments, they have actually utilized it in the direction or in the way you have said it should be done.
We handed over grants as directed to the state governments, and when we handed over, we told them what this intervention is meant for and whom it is meant for. Unfortunately, the NSAS now came with some revelations. Some warehouses were vandalized, and we got to know that most of these warehouses they have warehouses that the relief items that we took, or the food or the grains that we took to the states were housed. We are also affected. The warehouses of NEMA were vandalized. Ones of the Northeast Development Commission, the ones for the ministry, also here in Abuja, were vandalized. As an intervention ministry, we should have stock of food in store for eventualities. But this is what position we found ourselves, and we've not received any report from the state governments on how they distributed these food items. But as I mentioned earlier in my report, this has made us to now have a rethink and re-strategize to see how we can engage other bodies, especially the NGOs, in the subsequent interventions that the ministry is carrying out.
In 1999, when the local government councils were effective and functioning well, they were able to contain even security issues in their localities. Today, the local government system is almost dead, because that's the way the governors, want it. And it is very sad. Now, talking about, COVID-19 relief materials that were stocked in warehouses, some got rotten, and then the distribution, sometimes deliberate or not deliberate, I think it's not right. If these materials were released directly to the local government councils, because they are grassroots governments and they are closer to the people are with them. I can assure you that if these materials were available to the council chairman, it will go a long way, to solve the problems of what the target that you have. The intention of government can easily be realized. But at the state capital, you put them in a warehouse, and then the state government will also have to spend money to start to distribute them to the local government councils and to communities. It's quite a Herculean task. And if somebody wants to be fraudulent, of course, you know what can go wrong.
We've done our best under the circumstances, and but because of the huge number of people that are in need of support, it's really very impossible to be able to reach all. And the reason being that we have limited resources at our disposal, so we cannot be able to reach to all the poor and vulnerable people in this country. And really, it is meant for the poor and vulnerable, not for everybody, but even for the poor and vulnerable, it is grossly inadequate. We cannot do that. We hope that we will continue to do our best to reach those that are in dire need of support.
Goza is just one town in Borno State local government with 27 local governments with several towns. Honorable Minister, what I'm trying to drive through is that what you are having and what you are doing is not enough. So what is the solution? The solution is to make the Nigerian public know that you cannot feed Nigerians. You cannot be handing out what will take Nigerians through. What the government needs to do, which is not in your purview, but you are a member of the Executive Council, is to bring back peace to everywhere. And that is to say, take care of the issue of insurgency in the Northeast, the banditry, and now the succession problems that we are facing in Southwest and Southeast. Because the issue of insurgency, which we have just discussed, the banditry activities, the communal clashes, and other natural disasters have displaced so many people.
They were given special consideration because at the advent of the pandemic, the first people that we reached out to were the people in the IDPs and people living with disabilities. We gave them that special consideration, and in each state that we took these relief items, we make sure that we tell the state authorities to also capture people living with disabilities and IDPs. For the IDPs, in addition to what we normally give them monthly, the food ration, Mr. President also directed that we should give 2 months advance food relief to these IDPs, which was carried out by NEMA. And so we gave them really special consideration. Even the food items that we collected from customs, we made sure that IDPs, with the official IDPs, Mr. Chairman, because we cannot also reach out to all the IDPs in this country for those that we do not have.
For COVID-related intervention, which you cannot separate the two, because with the coming of COVID, these activities are going on there. In fact, the COVID caps it all. That means you cannot move. You don't have the freedom of movement. So I don't know how you can separate the two, Mr. Chairman. But as you said, what I'm talking about is whether it's COVID, whether it's insurgency, it is humanitarian. The humanitarian intervention in these places should be looked at more holistically and more realistically.
Victim support funds is not under my ministry. It's not domiciled in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and I really do not know where these funds are really, honestly.